Well, aloha and welcome to another episode of my newest podcast, Truth Seekers, where I invite onto my channel honored guests, other truth seekers, people that I've listened to and picked up on. And what I really enjoy about being a truth seeker is not so much my ideas or my own theories or my own perspective. I really like to add to the collective of my own library of my mind, or the Rolodex of my brain, so that I can constantly grow by checking out the other puzzle pieces that other truth seekers have found, and just kind of considering where they might fit into the bigger picture. Now, one of those truth seekers, my guest today, he has a YouTube channel. Let me put it on screen here. It goes by Doenut Factory.
That's my screen.
Oh, that's his screen. Okay, well, hold on. Let me show you his thing. I'm still getting better at it. Let's see. Let's do window for POW and this one. There we go. All right. So here's Doenut's screen right over here. You can go over to his YouTube channel. He also has Instagram, right?
I'm on all the social medias.
Okay. So he's got Doenut Factory. It's DOE. Doenut, DOE. And you'll see like the picture and stuff right here. He's got all these really cool videos diving into, I'm okay with using the word Illuminati. So a lot of Illuminati symbolism, and seems to be a focus on various rituals and the occult and numerology and things of that nature. Without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Doenut. What's up, dude?
Thank you so much, Jay. I found your channel years and years ago because you uploaded this video of an actual Illuminati member speaking about some of the secrets. I'm not sure if you even remember it, but I think you grabbed it and uploaded it. And that's how I found your channel years ago.
Oh,
so yeah,
I remember that one. Okay. I think it was Interview with Illuminati is something like I called it.
So I'm very grateful being here. And so I thought that was you, like talking on the phone with the guy for the longest time.
No, that was me. That was something I found buried in an internet archive in the early 2000s. And I printed it out in paper form, read it hundreds of times, and, pretty much committed it to memory. A lot of it really resonated with what I was researching at the time, being like the raw material and, different channeled information about the esoteric past, or what I call now ancient oblivion. But what got me into your channel was our buddy Tommy Truthful, and his website, the Truth Mafia website. Shout out to Tommy Truthful. I know he's out there watching, probably in the chat right now. Super
Hello,
excited.
Tommy Truthful.
What's up, Tommy? And maybe one day we can all jump on. We'll have a whole bunch of people on at once. But I saw you on his channel, and you guys were talking about different things. I've always been interested in the Illuminati connection, being like that, even just that they're called Illuminati, meaning illuminated. Usually I would associate that with like something that's a good attribute, right? But then what really caught my eye, and this is what the focus of today's video, and we can branch off into other avenues too, but we're going to start off with the video that you did that ended up, you turned it into a documentary. And I think it was something called like the Illuminati worms, right?
Yes. All the different Illuminati animals. So you got the Illuminati's logo is an owl. And if you go to Bohemian Grove with Kid Rock, you might be able to see the owl that all these different high-level people in America go do a weird ritual in front of. So these secret society elements, etymology, geomancy, all these different ways the simulacrum or the world is controlled. And now it's on an algorithmic level of control with our phones and the haptic technologies. But going back before cell phones, when there was the printing press and whatnot, this was how to control people's minds through literature, through music. Beethoven was trained by an actual Illuminatus member. And the word Illuminati is enlightened, and it stems from the Illumibratos as well, which goes back even further. And you could trace these secret lineages and different bloodlines. It's such a fascinating story. But the worms that you're talking about, the Illuminati worms, it's just another species of animal, or maybe not animal. But I mean, did you know that Darwin, like that's his like philosophy, is that we all come from worms, and the dude studied worms for most of his life.
Really? No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Darwin, like where we come up with this fake theory for the masses to believe survival of the fittest. If that's true, then why is all these dumb people around everywhere? There's more dumb people, like if that's the true theory.
That's a damn good point.
Damn good point right there. But the dude studied worms, saying that we come from worms. In this documentary that we did, it was Ani, the one-on-one podcast, Tommy. They were just going over this worm information, and it was a fascinating topic. Ani brought up how the computer, right? Think about the Apple logo. What is in the apple? It's a worm. What do you give your teacher? An apple. Like these symbols.
Yeah.
Going back to the worm. So there's a lot to it. It's very good. Yeah.
So this is super interesting. We're gonna do a deep dive and give the Cliff's notes, the highlights to my audience so that they can get better familiar with it, and to others as well. I think Tommy might be sharing us out, and you're sharing us out and stuff. So everyone's gonna get a little more familiar with concepts like the Illuminati, what I call ancient oblivion. When I refer to ancient oblivion, it's all things ancient, old world, old history, which basically is a mirror of our future, prophetic in nature if things are cyclical. You know what I mean? That's really why I like to study the ancient past, is because it lets us peek around the corner, so to speak. You know what I mean? But let's get into the worm aspect, because the more I dove into this, the more there was. The more it just kept on like I went digging for worms, and the more you dig, the more worms show up.
Oh yeah.
So
and it goes into like right now technology. Like the past had to have these computers and technology. This can't be new.
Yeah.
We adapted so quickly to the cell phone.
Yeah. You know what that reminds me of is on these ancient like Mediterranean tablets of, like the Enuma Elish and the story of creation from Babylon and stuff. They talk about a tablet of destiny. You know what I'm talking about?
Okay.
Like the gods were all fighting over this tablet of destiny. It's like a tablet, right? Like probably, controls all their weapons and spaceships, or who knows what it controls.
Take away the tablet from a kid, they're going to turn into a shark and bite you, Yeah. Maybe that's why baby shark do is part of their programming. It's not ours. We are, I love you, you love me. We're a happy family. We're the dinosaur generation. And the babies today with the tablets, they're the do shark. Like think about that programming of that. But that's crazy. The Destiny tablet, that's wild. Even the cell phone looks like the priesthood plate of the ancient Israelites.
The Illuminati sharks, that's another one to probably add, especially whenever they include the lasers, the whole sharks with lasers and stuff. They had that in the Lego movie I just broke down and decoded too. So the word worm. Let's actually check out the word worm.
Yes.
Have you ever like looked up the etymology of worm?
It's been a while because we did that documentary like a year or two ago, so I already forgot everything.
Okay, well, let's do a quick reminder, a quick refresher. I've got it pulled up right here on my screen. So the etymology of worm comes from Old English word worm, and oftentimes in the ancient world, it was spelled with a Y instead of a U. So it was Vwerm or Virm with like a V sound, right? Because the W is really a double V, Venom or Virm. It's related to and implies things like serpent, snake, dragon, reptile. None of these things associated with the little squiggly creature in the earth so far. At least not directly. And also later it was earth, meant to mean things like earthworm, the earth version of these worms, right? Whatever they began as. Proto-Germanic varmes or vermes, Old Saxon worm, Frisian worm, Norse ormir, varms. But let's go to the origin, the actual oldest root, which is the Proto-Indo-European, which is vermi, which also basically means worm. And the root of that comes from the Proto-Indo-European word, I'm going to say ver, but it's actually written W-E-R. And it means to turn or to bend. That's the root of worm, essentially. So already I'm seeing a connection going back into antiquity with fallen angels, or the angles, right, that turn or bend in another direction. They go off on their own way. They go off in another direction. And then it's really interesting because in the ancient times, they didn't have W. They had more of a U or a V sound. So really it was pronounced verm. And many of those in Hebrew, there's a suffix, you probably already know this, but there's a suffix that is im that makes things plural. The vermin or vermim, sometimes it's an in, sometimes it's an m, the vermin, basically. The word vermin is directly related to the word worm. It's just those of the worm, those of the other path, or the bending ones, or the turning ones. The worm, I imagine, is named after that because it's more squiggly, you know what I mean? And how in its movement. So it's really all about the movement of it, right? The worms. And where I think I want to start off is I heard you and some guests that were speaking with you when you were doing this documentary, making connections from the worm going all the way back into antiquity. So that's where I want to begin. And then we'll get more into possible Morgellon stuff and, modern worms and parasites and things like that, and their associations with demons that we're going to begin things off with, which is Yaldabaoth, and possibly also Akriman, or people pronounce that in different ways, right? So there's a connection there, right?
Right. And I'm happy you brought up Yaldabaoth because he's a worm, right? Like he's a worm. At least that's what some people have said. And also, if you look at the Loch Ness Monster, Juan broke down, I believe he's the first person to even break it down, that it's a worm. It's not like what we think it is, the dinosaur or whatever. And that's a statue too. I hope you break that thing down because that's freaking weird statue of a worm. Like this guy made all these different sculptures. But for some reason he made a sculpture with a worm. And if you go back to this lake where the worm of the Loch Ness Monster's coming from, it's where they did the Alamantua workings at Aleister Crowley stuff, that bullskin house or whatever, and that's what they summon. And this logo is crazy. I'm happy you brought it up because a lot of people use this logo today. A lot of big TikTok stars that say they're part of the truther community use the same logo, but you got to kind of like connect. I'm not going to call the person out, but it's also like the two ball cane. You could kind of see right down in the middle, the two balls. So I look at symbolism, and this is ancient symbolism that you know much more than me. I'm very much into the pop culture. But yeah, I can't wait to hear what you got to say. And I like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where Charlie has the worm hat. It's not a worm hat, it's a worm hat, and it's his imaginary friend.
Oh yeah, that's funny. So that sculpture that I showed a picture of, this one right here, let's put us both up here. This one was actually done by, I believe, Michelangelo, like the famous artist Michelangelo, who also worked on the Sistine Chapel. He was commissioned by very wealthy families to do different works of art and sculptures, especially there was this one family that commissioned him. What was the name of it? It was Medici, I believe. So the Medici family, eventually, some of their family members got into the papacy, and most of them, however, were bankers. They were extremely wealthy bankers. So they commissioned him to make these types of works of art. This one right here has piqued interest on the internet because it looks or appears to be, or we're told it's, some kind of like armor or something. Let me see this other version here. So there's two different ones. So this is supposed to be like, some people say this is supposed to be like plate armor, but it's not. If you look at this one over here, check this one out. This is the plate up here that goes around the breast, right? And they often did this in the old world too. They only actually wore stuff up here, like the Spartans and stuff, and then the rest was just kind of exposed skin on the bottom where the abs and stuff are. But look at this. This is an alternative one. So this is a different one, where on this one we see what looks like, and people interpret this to be a worm coming up out of the corpse, or possibly like the armor, like the knight's armor or something, or something going on here with what looks to be like some sort of a worm, or sometimes worms were depicted as demons like this too. But this one, check this out. That's like a tentacle. It looks to me like a tentacle. You see that?
It's an octopus tentacle.
Yes. It's got little suckers on there and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a better version of it right here.
So do you think that, I mean, it looks like a lot, and look at the top of that thing. Doesn't that look like a sloth?
It does. Actually, that looks just like a sloth.
That's my spirit animal.
And these are some sort of tablets that they have, crisscross tablets.
Animals. This is what it's all about. It's about the Illuminati animals all over the place. They're everywhere.
Yeah, the goats.
Yeah, goats. Taurus field.
Yeah, that's crazy. So this was one of the works by Michelangelo that was commissioned, and that's a close-up of it. So people are saying, like, this represents that possibly, and some people have made this connection that, like you were saying about Darwin earlier, right? That Darwin believed that we like came from worms. So a lot of people are talking about this connection that is it worms that control us, or like, are we worms? In the Bible, it actually says that many times, like, you are a worm, or you're a worm, or whatever, right?
Oh, dang. Well, yeah, I mean, like the worm stuff is wild. And think about going back to antiquity, going back to today, going back to the teacher's pet, the worm and that symbol, to the computer. It's like a microcosm. We stare at the stars all the way down and do this Fibonacci sequence going down, staring at the damn computer screen and the cell phone. And then our thoughts are all in here. Now we're in here like this. And the worm is part of a computer stuff. You know what I mean? Your computer can get a worm in it. And so it's like, it's all over the place from back then.
Yeah.
Now.
So the worms and the wormholes as well, right?
Wormholes.
Yeah. There's the connection between the wormholes, which are in the heavens. They're up there in the sky. And that's right. And there's that means that there's some kind of cosmic worm, or heaven worm, or space worm, or, I mean, like, if the wormholes are up there, they didn't have to name it that. You know what I mean?
Wormwood
also falls from the sky too.
And yeah. Also, like, have you seen the movie Donnie Darko?
Yes.
It takes place at a high school called Loyola, which goes back to like the Illuminatos, who Ignatius Loyola was a part of, who went on to go into like the priest stuff, right, with Jesuits and whatever. You're talking about Medici and the Knights and papacy and all this. The little bunny rabbit be traveling through a wormhole. And then, like, there's this teacher who taught at Loyola, and she quit being a nun, and she wrote about time travel through wormholes in the movie. So, yeah, that's interesting. I just watched. Have you watched that movie?
Yeah, I broke it down extensively. Like, that's one of the first ones. I'm like, I'm breaking down Donnie Darko.
So, like, the moon is super interesting too. Just hopping around all over the place. The moon has a bunny rabbit on it, right? And all the ancient goddesses of the lunar, like Luna, was depicted holding a moon. Like Mayan, the goddess of the moon holds a bunny.
Right.
So there's another animal of the bunny. So, like, I've kind of know little bits and pieces of the worm stuff. It seems like you know more, so I want to know more about it.
Well, the moon itself is said to be a portal in different ways too, right? So in some way, it's the portal that leads to the wormhole, actually.
Okay.
And then you have like these beings or creatures that are said to come from the moon, or in ancient times, the moon hatched open like an egg, and that the dragon came out of the moon. That's also depicted too. But let's break down this picture. I want to check out this picture real quick. This one in particular. So this is supposed to be Yaldabaoth, also in ancient times known as Akriman. Now, what language does that sound like to you, if you're just to guess?
I'm just guessing Arabic.
Yes, very much Middle Eastern, Arabic, also Hebrew and Phoenician as well. So we can break this word down. Check this out. Let's see. Where can you see my mouse over here? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So
Like right
this
there,
is
a mouse. You got a mouse. What's up?
so this is the watch the Illuminati mouse. So let me zoom in on this bad boy. All right. Now we can
And whatever
see.
happens to a mouse will happen to a human. So like all the stuff, that's why they're lab rats, right? Because
Oh, right.
they rub Dorito on a mouse and makes their skin invisible when it gets hit with the purple ultraviolet frequencies.
We're definitely coming back to that. I want to know more about what the purple light and stuff. So check this out. This is Yaldabaoth. Now in the ancient times, there was a religion or a belief system called Zoroastrianism, right? One of the
Oh yeah,
oldest.
for sure.
So Zoroastrianism, which to me just means the zero star or the circle star up there in the heavens, like this main star that sort of hovered at the North Pole, and it was a fixed star in the ancient world. It's weird because it's also said to have been purple or given off a purple light for the purple dawn.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
but this is the god. There was two main gods. There was Akriman and there was Ahura Mazda, which is basically where we get the car companies Acura and Mazda.
Oh damn.
Ahura Mazda means wise lord. Ahura Mazda represented the good guy in the figure, the good god or whatever. His adversary was Akriman. This right here is Yaldabaoth, also known as Akriman. You can see that it's serpentine wrapping around his body, going all the way up, right? Now I interpret this, I'll just share my interpretation. This is plasma to me. It's plasma worms. In the ancient world, the worms that were depicted, especially in Norse mythology, they were seen in the sky. They were seen in the heavens. Worms dropped down from the heavens, from the sky, and it was raining worms, except for it wasn't like little physical, slimy worms. It was plasma worms. It was illuminated worms of light or serpentine
Wow.
flowing type, fireworms that set fire to things as they got lower and touched brush and trees and stuff. So we have this spiraling worm serpentine figure. And then at the top, we have the lion's head. Well, let's talk about the wings, right? So they stick wings on it to let you know what it does. This worm flies. So they put wings on it symbolically, not saying that there's flying worms or anything like that, but to tell the people this worm is a flying worm. You know what I mean? So they stick wings on it. And then the lion's head represents light. Oftentimes I've found in these ancient depictions, the word lion goes all the way back to the word lev, which means originally it implied to flow, basically. That's why people say I'm going to the loo. It's the same exact word. It's the place where the water flows or a river flows or whatever. So lev or love, or the place from the heart, the chakras and all that stuff, it's represented by the lion, which means the flowing one, or something that is plasma like, that is illuminated, oftentimes represented by lions or the lion's head, which we also saw in Indiana Jones, like when he takes the leap from the lion's head. Remember that part? In the
Wow.
Last Crusade.
Wow. Because Indiana Jones, like who I would listen to, where I come from, is from the Jordan Maxwell School of Thought.
Mhm.
And he would talk about Indiana Jones is about a real guy who wrote about history. And he's kind of taken out of history Waddle, right? You probably read Waddle's work.
Yeah.
I believe that's his name. And like, so all these different symbols, you're talking about the lion being the sun symbol. In a sense, the eagle is also a sun symbol. Going back to, you could go back to like Atlantis and stuff. And we see all these symbols on the world stage today, which is absolutely nuts. Like the new Atlanta ATL, right? I tie it back to Atlantis, but their new symbol looks just like a Reichadler. And like those symbols are the sun symbols. And when they're connected to, let's say, a sun rising over the Twin Peaks, over the two mountains, then that is another symbol for the Aket. So like you get these different symbols, but that's still used today. It's in the Obama logo. Verizon. If you think about the word Verizon, like you're on your Verizon phone, That's coming from horizon, like Horus, horizon, Verizon. That's where they
Right.
get this word. And their symbol is the twin peaks, the two mountains, and the sun rising in the middle of it, just like the Sphinx. So you got the twin peaks of the two pyramids, the Sphinx and the sun rising up above it. It's the Akhet. It's what the Denver airport is. They built that. It's just crazy. The symbolism. And the symbol of Yaldabaoth that you're showing, are you saying that this is an individual plasma type worm that fell from the heavens, burnt people, burnt the skin, and they're just depicting this muscular beast mode dude?
Yeah.
It looks like that. Looking like a Hulk Hogan of the sky, you know?
Yeah. So
these are little plasma filaments.
yeah, so check this out. I really like this depiction right here, actually. So it's got the lion's head on the top, so it's letting you know that it's made out of light. But then right next to it is the sun. So what is this behind it?
Okay.
Right?
What is it?
And it actually says Yaldabaoth right there. What is this behind it, except for a circle that has an 8-pointed star behind it, or light emanating from this central larger sun? This is the ancient sun. Also notice the moon's over here too. I don't know if you can see that.
So it's not the moon. And so and it's inside I don't know how dirty I can get, but it's inside the Vesica Pisces as well, right?
Yes.
And if you look at that symbol above, if you look at the Jesuit sun symbol, or I think the Argentina flag, a lot of symbols use this spike, and then it's this little like plasma sperm. So I mean, those look like, sperm hitting the egg inside the yoni.
That does actually, yeah.
So much symbolism.
Well, that's appropriate because for me, my cosmology has like a dome, right? So I'm like a dome person that think there's a dome above the world, and for me, there occasionally happens to become an opening in that dome, or a depressurization of our atmosphere, where there's a hole in the dome, or the dome breaks and the sky rips apart and breaks into pieces or whatever. This is that hole for me. This is the hole in the dome that opens up. There's also like
the pupil.
Yes, this is the pupil. So this is where life comes from. One place. There's two places for me that life comes from to mix. It's an alchemical wedding. It's the great cosmic wedding between the earth and what comes out of the earth, which is its life-giving elements, and then the heavens, which is what comes out of the heavens, which is its life-giving elements. One of those is ionized. I'll just say one of those is plasma from the heavens that comes downward and separates, and it divides, and it comes down and it dances around the world and whatnot. And it has lots of an impact in our world. The other one is a straight beam of light, or many beams of light that just shoot up from within the earth out of their cavernous systems. And then it just creates these light pillars in the heavens, and they reach up to touch one another. And this is the mingling between the female energy and the male energy, or the earth and the heavens in the ancient myths and legends of the ancient gods and titans and stuff, where you had Gaia mixing with, the Kronos, or the sky god in ancient times. So this to me is basically the face of Medusa. This is the shield of Zeus, the face of Medusa, and the plasma comes out of this depressurization point. This is the evil plasma. This is plasma that divides and moves about. It divides and conquers. And there's different depictions of this too.
Of plasma in the symbol, it's telling you a story. So you're reading a book, but you're just reading a symbol from the ascension descending down, sort of like it's like a story.
Yes, very much like a story. You mean like as far as the
plasma event?
Yes. So the plasma, and then the plasma is the spirit, really. So it's a spirit form. It's an energetic form that can become physical. So plasma, I would say, is, instead of saying it's like the fifth element, I would say it's the first one. It's the one that gives rise and can become all of the other ones. It can become gas. It can become a solid. It can become liquid and whatnot. So for me, like that's the fifth element.
Well, we are a tadpole, right? We're a little worm. We're a little sperm, and then we turn into this big creature or whatever.
Right.
And like, what got me into the plasma stuff was Oxford scholar Joseph P. Farrell's work in The Demon and the Ecker, and he goes over these different plasma filaments, which I'll show of a negative view of the cosmic web right here in the sky of plasma, right? So they taken pictures in the sky of plasma, and then right here on the right is inside our brain of the
Yes.
neurons, and the neurons and the plasma filaments up in the
Oh,
sky
yeah.
are identical. And
Hold that closer. I want to see that.
we have plasma all around us. So it's called bioenergy. And we live in this ocean, and like you walk by someone and you get a bad vibe. You're like, oh man, that's a guy got a bad vibe, or that dude got a good vibe.
Yes.
That's because of the plasma, which you can take with the acrylic photography or whatever it's called. I probably said it wrong. I'm not that smart. But here's a negative view of the cosmic plasma at the bottom, right? So that's up in the sky. That's up there in the sky. And then we come down into our brain. It's the same thing, right? So it's like a macrocosm. He even wrote a book about the macrocosm. But he also goes into the phenomenon of ball lightning, where this plasma comes down into the earth. People have talked about it, written about it. And the plasma, sometimes it kills people, but it's taking photograph in a sense of the environment, then going back up in the sky. Lightning's plasma, Las Vegas, the lights, like everything's like plasma. But in this book, it's the hypothesis is, what if certain plasma is a sort of intelligent life form as well? And so this is kind of like what that would be. It would be an intelligent life form, y'all to bay off kind of thing. Is that right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, it doesn't stop with like the ancient gods though. It divides and it separates and it comes down and passes on into us, the humans of the modern age. Even like there's legends that say that Zeus had a plan, in order to destroy the Titans, or one of the Titans had a plan to like mix human DNA with the blood of like giants and stuff like that. And so it passes all the way down to us. We're made out of them, and they're made out of, the elements themselves, like nature and energy and things of that nature. Let's jump into, let's see, we got, I wanted to share this real quick. So I asked you like what language that it sounded like, Akriman and Yaldabaoth, right? So I broke it down like this. Let's talk about Yaldabaoth. If we break it down into Hebrew, the prefix Y, or the letter Yod, means my, or it implies possession. So Yald Yal is really my God, or my strength is Yal or Yel. We would say Ale, like YEL. So all like Allah, same exact as EL. EL and AL, same thing.
Right.
So,
I could read Hebrew.
Oh, nice. Okay. So Yel. So YEL or YAL means my God, or my strength, or my strong. And then Daba. Daba implies voice, right? So Ya'al or Ya'el, Daba. Oh, what's up, kitty? Little kitty cat. She's like falling asleep. She's so comfy. So we got Ya'al Daba, which means my mighty voice. But then we have Ot at the end, which is a plural or a feminine plural, right? So it implies my mighty voices, and it's talking about these skyworms, the mini skyworms. This is also interesting too, because in biblically speaking, God is described as having a voice that is many, or many waters. Oftentimes it's actually described as. So I interpret this as like the
first was the word, or something like that.
Yes. The first was the word was God, the word became flesh, etc. So for me, like, let's say that there are plasma worms descending from the sky, like the quintessential worm, the original first ones or whatever, right? First life forms. They would make electrical sounds as they got close to, humans or whoever could hear them in the atmosphere, sounding like a buzzing, each one having its own low vibration or whatever. So that's Yaldabaoth as I break it down. And then Akriman, in Hebrew, Akar, implies like different, something that's different or other. So
Mhm.
akar, I am, akrim means others. It's just plural. And then on at the end means of the. So of the others. Akriman, who is also Yaldabaoth, is of the others or of the different ones, but implying alien. You know what I mean? Like implying this gets back into like the concept you're sort of touching on, like sperm and like the life force and whatnot, panspermia, right? There's belief systems and religions out there that believe that like
Seminary.
ejecta has gone to the different planets, right? In whatever form, you know what I mean? And
It's
planted
all goes
life.
back to the number one force of biological life, and that's sex.
Right. Which is what it is. For me, this is the cosmic wedding. This is the alchemical wedding that mixes the different root elements of the building blocks of life, like hydrogen and oxygen and nitrogen and all these things when they're introduced. I mean, where did they come from? You know what I mean? Like they had to come from somewhere. And this is so for me. I like to be a philosopher and talk with you and others about these kinds of things, because if academics can have theories like flying slushy snowballs through space that have cryogenic ice volcanoes that they call comets, to me, I'm like, okay, well, we get to talk about ridiculous stuff too then. Like,
Well, the truth is stranger than fiction, and the truth is stranger than we could even imagine. Like
right,
we can't even imagine what's going on. Uh, and I love all the different symbols, and a lot of these symbols go back to sex symbols like the yoni, the vesica pisces, which goes even deeper into some sacred geometry, which builds like uh, the great structures of the antiquity of this stuff that the ancients seem to be way more wicked smart than we are. And then I think that's what's going on right now, is that we are being created, we are being manipulated through an algorithm that emotionally pimps us through different products and whatnot. So you brought up this this screen. There's like Baal or Moloch. I mean, there's Moloch. So there's another animal of the Illuminati right there, right?
yep, the
And he's got
Illuminati bull.
the Illuminati ball. Yeah, this is how dope is that thumbnail? I got the McDonald's, I got the real world. The real world had 33 seasons. Isn't that funny?
Oh, that like the TV show, The Real World.
Yeah, the real world. Because that's the simulacra. That
Interesting.
is the copy for us to imitate. So, like, a simulacrum is in the Matrix movie. What the heck is that word? What does this mean? It's a copy of a copy. But then something happens where it's a hyper reality where we don't know the difference between the copy and real life. So that's sort of like what assimilation theory kind of is, from my
Right,
understanding from reading simulacra, assimilation, and whatnot. So like Las Vegas has the Eiffel Tower, right? So
right.
let's say in 100 years from now, there's some great reset, but for some reason that Eiffel Tower still exists. And then they just say, this is the Eiffel Tower. This is Paris. And people believe it's Paris. That
Right.
is the simulacrum. That's a hyper reality.
Yes, and oh my God, I'm so glad you said that too, because um, I use the example of the Garden of Eden. So in the Middle East right now, there are the rivers Tigris and Euphrates, which many people just say Tigris, but originally it was pronounced Tigris. The Tigris and Euphrates, two of the four rivers of Eden. So many people are like, that must be Eden. That must be Eden. But what if those rivers were renamed after a reset event that forced people from Eden or out of the garden or away from Hyperborea, and they became nomadic, and where they settled, what else am I going to name this place? Oh, well, there's a river. Let's name that one Tigris, or let's name that one Euphrates. Oh, there's a mountain. Let's make that Sinai, or let's make that one, like renaming it in honor of their homeland, of the original places where they stemmed from or came from. Um, you
And
know,
then it becomes, yeah, exactly, a simulacrum.
yeah. So
It's
same.
a
That was a good one with the pyramid. I mean, not the pyramid, but the Paris. The
the
Paris
Paris, yes, because
Eiffel Tower.
so that's what the real world is. So reality TV, that's what that is. That's what it is. It's a copy of a copy. So when you're watching Kim Kardashian and these different people on reality TV, it's the same thing. It's a simulacrum. It's a copy of a copy.
Yes.
Where people actually believe it's real. People believe that the television in this YouTube channel is real.
Yes. And so the simulacrum for me, as far as like a simulation goes, that gets so deep. Especially when we connect the concept that you showed earlier of the neurons in the mind being very similar to or simulating the plasma that exists in the sky and the heavens, and how nature is just a mirror and takes the shape of things like trees and bodies and hands and spreading out just like the neurons in the mind do, right? So for me, this gets way deeper than just our local cosmology or this world, but into multiple worlds and multiple possible earths or earth realms of experience, where if it is simulated, for me, it makes sense that it would save on energy, right? Just like say you have like a supercomputer that runs the universe, it would need to save on energy if things are seemingly infinite, not really infinite, but just making it look like they are, just like in any video game that's designed. You know, it has walls, it has limitations and stuff, but it looks like you can just go infinitely through this land or whatever. I call this,
I'm sorry.
I call it the fractal verse. So it's just all holographic and fractal and repeating in vortices and spirals and loops that repeat themselves over and over and over. So if that's the case, and one could make the case that we're extremely tiny, living in the mind with all those neurons and space and all of that of God, or whatever God is, you know what I mean? That we're in there amongst all those different realms of experience, collecting, experiencing, gathering information for a harvest or a data harvest, right? Where everything is sent from one world to another world or a hub for processing or something. And if that's the case, then it would make sense to me that all these different realms or earths would be identical because they are repeating patterns or information or DNA, which means there could be copies of all the same types of people. You know what I mean? Like the worlds would look very similar on these different like infinite earths out there, or seemingly infinite.
Right. And then also like in a video game, it's all code, right? So it's zeros and ones, like the binary code and whatnot, going from the computer stuff, because we're talking about ancient antiquity, we're talking about worms, but then computer worms,
right,
and stuff like that. And then the zeros and ones get corrupted, and then there's a computer worm in there that ruins the zeros and ones. And you can kind of see this when people look into numerology and gematria in world events, that there's this pattern recognition, and there's this information that just keeps happening, and it's damned from society. It's excluded. And that's where Charles Fort wrote that book, the book of the damned, meaning excluded. So I like to leave in stuff. So when I'm screen capturing stuff and I'm like doing my research, I try to remember when I'm like, no, I'm not going to save that. I'm being schizo right now. I still save it because like, why am I taking out information? So it's good to look into all the different types of information, and the number stuff is crazy. It kind of shows that there is like some sort of like weird programming going on, but you could see it even not getting all schizo. You can kind of just see it we can get more scientific and be like, it's the RAS, the reticular activation system. I think it's connected to the prefrontal cortex, which is very important. And you got trolls that try to amygdala hijack and bring you into this, and that's what I think the algorithm's doing by the news networks and whatnot. Pimp does it to its hoe or whatever, or it's how you sell products. So there's different levels of frequency of energy and fear. For example, it's not a lowest vibration; it's lower than, let's say, acceptance or love or whatever higher frequency. And I got this graph I could show up. It was just pretty amazing.
I got you. I'll put your screen on.
Of Hawkins' work, because I'm looking into different frequencies and energetics and what happens to us when we look at certain lights. And we're talking about, the purple lights, and you go over the plasma and you go over the purple a lot. but emotionally as well. Sorry, that's my white. That's some other stuff. Oh, dang it, where is it? Sorry, I don't have it all lined up. Okay, that's the Mount Meru stuff.
Hey, is it your birthday?
Every day, baby. Every day is my birthday. Yeah. It's
Happy
not
birthday!
Thank you. Thank you. Like the video, everybody. Like the video. It's my birthday.
All right.
It's actually not my birthday, but for some reason, it's my birthday. People, right? It's my birthday all the
Yeah,
time.
somebody donated in the chat, said happy birthday.
Thank you. So this guy, Richard Hawkins, I'm reading this book right now, Healing and Recovery. I've listened to Power versus Force, which I really like. You could force somebody to do something, like through force, like through like I'm forcing you. You got to do this, right? Or you can influence somebody to be like, I want to do that. You know, what's more powerful? Is it the person forcing you to do something, forcing you to vote for someone, or is it because you want to vote for someone? You know, so there's a higher level of energy. And listening to this, he made this graph that's pretty famous, but it's funny because like the purple is like the highest frequency and the lowest frequency is shame and guilt. And it's interesting because a rabbi I was listening to said that in the scriptures, in the Torah, the word guilt's not in there at all because there's no room for it. But he was breaking down these different energy levels of emotion. And we live in this narcissistic culture, and people don't even know what that word means. It means killing your emotion. So you've deadened yourself where you, to be effective in society, going into the power, because everything's about power. I need more power. I need more power.
Right. Yeah.
And
Energy.
so that's what the narcissist does out of a survival mechanism of the unloving mother, mostly,
right,
where it's stemming from. But so emotions play a big role because there is a frequency and you can capture it through it's the plasma that be bouncing off of us. And this dude, Oxford scholar who wrote this book, Dr. Joseph P. Farrell, he talks about if plasma can be an intelligent life form, right, with intelligent life, and we have plasma around our body, right, that if that's true and the plasma around our body is intelligent life, then we're not a soul in a body, but we're like a soul within a soul. So we have a soul actually like protecting us. And that could be like the angel stuff. Yeah, because angels are always depicted as plasma. They got little plasma filaments coming out of them. They're radiating. You know, I got a little angel protecting me right here. I got a little
oh, let me see.
I got a little tiny.
Oh, you got a little angel there.
Yeah. That's my little bad
yeah.
Right there.
The cherubim, the thrones, the wheels within wheels of Ezekiel, all the strange depictions too of angels in the ancient world.
Yeah. And so these different like gods that people worship throughout history, they're connected to certain ley lines that he breaks down. So like if you're praying to a certain god, maybe that's like tapping into a program or something. So what program are we tapped into? Knowing about the manipulation of emotions and energy, right? You get someone wild up, you're going to be in a lot of trouble if you don't vote for me because this guy is awful or this girl is awful, right? So you're in an emotional state. So you will take an action. Now, what's happening with hypnosis? The whole world's under a hypnosis spell right now through algorithms. So from 1 week from today, your algorithm already knows what it's going to show you 1 week from today because it knows how pissed off you are right now. It understands you so well that in a week from now, it'll show you something that'll make you mad. So just it's like next level control that the social media giants and whatnot. And there's a reason why they all work for DARPA in the military. The whole society is connected on like a world collective, like a hive mind right now. It's absolutely nuts. Like we are so scientifically advanced in this technocracy most people cannot fathom what's going on. They give us little information. We're gonna look at how we landed this rocket. Like,
Right.
bro, dude, here's Chat GPT. They've been using Chat GPT for a minimum like 20, 30 years. CERN just celebrated its 75th anniversary. What's your thoughts on CERN with wormholes and all that?
I have a strong feeling that the so-called elites of this world, they know about things that I often normally would talk about, especially as far as the outer worlds and the inner worlds. Specifically, I'm talking about actual physical places like the underworld that is down in the hollow earth, and then those things that are beyond what I would call the dome or out there in the heavens. And I don't believe that they like being trapped in this world inside of a closed system. Especially a closed system that seems to be currently siphoning energy from the surface down into its heart, into the bowels of the earth, where up here we have residual effects from that, which is death and decay and disease and the fall of society and ethics and things of that nature. So they want out of this world. Not only that, but if they're the elite that people paint as being so evil and in charge of this world through trickery and deception and casting spells and inception and whatnot, right? This is the best time for them to rule because there's no telepathy, there's no influx of energy all over the place. People are not empowered, they're without power. So this is the best place and time that's appropriate for them to be here if that's their intention. However, if I'm correct in saying that one day power will be restored to this place in the form of a great release of power or energy from within the earth and from the cosmos during this event, then they will not want to be around. There will be no trickery in a world that's full of telepathic individuals that can read your mind and your intentions and your thought, and everything needs to be transparent and all information is available to everybody, and people can see the heavens for what it is, and people understand the neighbors that live below us in the hollow recesses of the world or whatever. It's much easier for them during this time. And so they want to leave, one, because out there in the heavens, conditions probably are different to allow for extended lifespans or immortality, right? So they want to leave and they want to get out of here. So they're working on portals, ways to disrupt the Earth's natural electromagnetic field above and below, so that they can create distortions in that electromagnetic field, which acts as a barrier to keeping them out so that they can pass through and get out, or open windows or doorways or portals and stuff. That's how I see it.
Okay, so like CERN, it has been around longer than we've been alive. A lot of our parents, it's been around for 75 years, and every single government has agreed. They're right now doing the CERN script of Stranger Things. They're expelling Russian scientists, which is the same story as CERN, where the Russians have the CERN and they open it up for the worms, and then the worms turn into the same Nephilim story of the mall in Miami. It's the damn script. They're using Stranger Things movie script on the world stage in this place called Geneva, where all the headquarters of all the stuff, like I'm not even gonna get into it, but like look at the CERN, like I mean the symbols are crazy. Right there is Mount Meru, right, or Ishtar. I mean, it's which is connected to the gateway portal, right?
Right.
Sorry, I'd be ranting, bro. Like,
no, you rant away.
I don't get to talk about this stuff.
There's so much truth out there. There's so many rabbit holes to go down. It can be overwhelming, and I get excited because not everyone in the world feels like us and wants to talk about this. This is just weird to them. So, vent by all means.
And I like to
let it out.
plant some seeds too of like different information, because it is a lot of different work. And there's the 666. And if you look at like the hamburgers right now, people are getting sick from the hamburgers. And so that logo is connected to that as well. But I'm not even gonna.
Oh, you know what? I got something that we could talk about too that takes us back into the whole Illuminati worms thing, because you had mentioned earlier.
Parasites, right?
Yes. So not just parasite, but check this out. So you mentioned talking about how like people think that they're in control, that they're making these decisions, that they're doing these things, right? So that made me think about the connection between, and many people have made this connection recently that I've seen. The connection between like ancient demons or demonic entities that may possess people and take control of them spiritually, which is energy, which is represented by a worm or a bent line, an angled line, a curved, twisted line, like we talked about, which represents the twisted minds and the negativity and stuff, or that straight path, a straight beam, a straight and a straight arrow or a rod or a column or whatever, right? These two symbols, the curved line and then the straight line, which is really interesting too when we think about those together. But I was thinking about, I recently watched like the movie Venom, like the Venom series, and man, it gets so deep. I was thinking about different types of parasites and worms that take control as parasitic animals or creatures. They take control and manipulate the very mind and the behaviors of the hosts that they go into. Right. So I've got a few examples here. I'm gonna bounce these off of you. There's the
There's some
zombie
zombies.
ant.
Yeah.
You heard about that one?
Yeah, they got the zombie ants. Yeah, there's a lot going on with nature, with zombies and plants. There's also a book called The Secret Life of Plants, which goes into how the trees are turning like different bugs around it pretty much into zombies to attack other animals, and then the plant will give out some scissor
Wow.
for them to drink. So yeah, but no, I know what you're talking about. It takes over the body of the host. And yeah.
Yep. So it says the zombie ant, parasitic fungus infects the ants, takes over their nervous system, and compels them to climb vegetation to attach to leaves or branches. The fungus then kills the ant and releases spores from the elevated position in order to spread the infection further. The next one is Toxoplasma gondii. That's the name of it.
Yeah,
Toxoplasma
shout out to
gondii.
the kitty cats.
Yeah, that's right. This is that one. It says the parasite infects many animals, but it's best known for its effects on rodents, aka vermin, right?
Mm.
And humans. Rodents, it alters their fear responses, making them more likely to approach cats, which are the parasite's definitive hosts. In humans, toxoplasma infections have been linked to subtle behavioral changes and possibly increased risk taking tendencies. So this is very interesting. Who are we in charge? Do we have the charge? Do we have the energy in our own galaxies of our bodies? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Are we making these decisions, or are we constantly influenced by everything but ourselves? Is the question I ask.
I think that the religions all knew this, and that's why the fasting was part of it, because the fasting gets rid of a lot of the parasites, right? Like, why am I so hungry for chicken wings? Well, because probably there's some parasites that are like, yo, hook us up with that meal, homie. Like, that was delicious.
Yes.
But for real, so like, I'm not like, how aware are we of like so much? It's absolutely nuts, for sure.
Well, I'm gonna read about 2 or 3 more examples here, and then I want to give you the screen. You said you had some stuff that you wanted to share too, so I'm gonna just put your thing up there and get your opinion on some of this stuff while I ask you some questions about it too. So the next one we got here is called Dercolium dendriticum, lancet liver fluke. I had to look this up. The word fluke is describing a worm. They say that's a fluke. A fluke is a worm.
Huh.
Isn't that crazy? So it's a lancet liver fluke. This fluke infects ants as a part of its life cycle, and then basically it eats the liver of grazing animals. So it wants to be eaten by these other animals, right? It desires to be ingested by them, to eat their liver. This is the whole Venom movie. Like that, he actually says this in the Venom movie. Venom's inside of this guy, and he's like, "Let's go eat people. Like, can I eat bad guys?" And he really wants to eat anybody. And then like the host is like, "You know, I'll tell you what, you can eat bad guys. That's it, right?" And then he really wants to eat the bad guys, and then the host doesn't let him eat anybody, so he gets hungry. He's like, we need to eat bad guys soon because your liver's looking really tasty. And he says that. I'm like, wow, and Venom hates being called Paradise.
Prometheus.
The light bringer.
Well, Prometheus didn't get a liver eaten like every day.
Oh, that's right. Damn, you're right. By an eagle, wasn't it?
Yeah, probably something like that.
Yeah, it's chained to the mountain, Mount Meru, actually, probably.
And then there's that liver king who takes the steroids. Or something like that. King. I heard something about liver though, like you eat liver, it affects your liver. And I don't know if you heard that. I don't know anything about it. I don't know. Liver is interesting, and energetically, emotionally, kind of going back to the emotion thing in liver, because I think it ties in so much for me, being in recovery for 9 years. So the whole recovery thing is a trip and a reset of my own autonomic nervous system, in a sense, through prayer and meditation and actions. Faith without works is dead. Taking certain actions that religions talked about it as well, making amends and whatnot like that. It is where'd you go? Don't leave me all alone.
I was letting you do a monologue.
The liver is connected to the emotion of anger. So the number one offender to an alcoholic is a resentment, which is refilling in anger. You know, it's been like 20 years and I'm still pissed off at this dude that owes me $20. You know what I mean? That's called resentment. And it's refilling this anger. So the alcohol, you drink it, it's going to hit your liver. That's why people get the cirrhosis of the liver, because anger is stored energetically in the liver. I'm more sad all the time. So I was more of a pawhead. And I think that's because the smoking goes straight to the lungs, which I believe the lungs are connected to sadness. But this alcohol thing is interesting because the liver, it resets the quickest. So you can heal pretty quickly the liver. And these frequencies of that chart I was showing you, the energetic frequencies that they've healed people with addiction problems through these different states of emotional frequencies, and healed people's sicknesses and healing and recovery. So I don't know what you call that. I think it's spiritual. I was asking my friend, is this metaphysical? Because I don't know what the heck. I'm not that smart. But it's spiritual, and the entire society is being reset. Their autonomic nervous system is being reset through hallucinogens, stuff like that. Fungus. They're being reset through a microdosing of fungus. But isn't like a fungus sort of connected probably to this whole parasite thing? Right. But you can reset all this stuff without any of that by meditation and prayer and stuff like that. Sorry.
You're good.
You pump me up, bro. You pump me up, dog. Hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, share the video out. Woo woo.
It's all connected. I mean, when I have more of a mindset that it's all connected, then I start making more connections. You know what I mean? That's me personally. The alcohol, they call it spirits. You know, the liver, spirits. Right there. Everything that it's on the grand scale, as I'm talking about. Like if we're making the connection, a possible connection, that the cosmos is somehow full of neurons. We'll say, and it's the mind of God, or we're part of some larger body, right? This is the exact episode. As I'm saying, this is the exact episode of an Ant-Man movie where they have like this tiny microscopic universe or whatever. And then it reminds me of the words of Jesus that says the kingdom of heaven is in you.
It's within. We're always looking outside to make us happy.
Yeah.
When the kingdom of heaven is within.
Right. But within that kingdom, there's a battle. There's a battle between good and evil. There's always that, that duality that seems to exist, as well as a very balanced middle path. Taking over the minds of the people, fear being a path to the dark side, anger being a path to the dark side, and the anger representing the liver and stuff, the dark side, the Sith, the evil, people in Star Wars, which also has a lot of Hebrew connections and stuff. These other examples here. Yes. These other examples, they have a wasp that injects venom there's the venom thing, into orb weaving spiders. and it programs the spider to create or alter their web building behavior, to create a special type of web that's suited to make a home for the wasp. So they put this serum into the spider that reprograms their mind, making them think, I'm sure the spider's not like, oh, I'm being controlled right now. Oh my God, I can't help it. I can't help but to make this. The spider thinks it's its own idea, is to change its natural habits and how it makes things and what it's making. Are we susceptible to that? Does it come in the form of our architecture and our clothing and our logos and all the, you know what I mean? Like our cars and all these things that we have?
It does. It's a simulation. It's the reality TV. It's the damn billboards of Kim Kardashian and Kanye making a hyper reality for us to imitate, is an ideal image for us to imitate. And now people are starting to look like the billboards. A billboard is not how a human looks. Like all the different modifications of the body of the different, like all the different, like, anime look.
Mm-hmm.
It's not natural, but that's becoming human. It's becoming human.
That's my they live face.
Yeah, they live. Well, that's actually offensive. It's they them live.
Oh,
but that movie's great, right? It goes into just so much. That's like my best joke. That's my best joke right there.
Yeah, you could do that with Pennywise too.
Pennywise, yeah. There's just so much to the symbols, the simulation, the emotions, and all that. And we are being manipulated 24/7. The fast food industry, the advertisement industry. These are billion-dollar companies to get you to consume their products. So you consume the Doritos. This is interesting.
Yes,
the Doritos, right?
I want to hear about this.
This is so fascinating. So all these purple lights have been just appearing worldwide. What's going on? They say it's a malfunction. Mm-hmm. Things are just turning purple everywhere. Well, if you look into the study of optogenetics with the mice, speaking of, animals, mice there's lab rats, because whatever happens to them happens to us. It's the exact same thing. We're so similar to a rat and a mouse. And these purple lights, I'm like, what's going on? Got to look into it. Shout out to Kimberly. Kimberly actually commissioned me to look more into the frequencies of the lights. And I got to do this information study about 3 years ago or so. And optogenetics, they were able to control the thoughts of these mice and mouse through the LED light bulbs that were purple. Purple, blue holds the most frequency. That's why you have Blu-ray disc, Bluetooth, whatever. Blue is like, even though Bluetooth, the symbol is like more of a Nordic or something symbol, but just Blu-ray, whatever. Yeah. Because it holds the most information. Now they're able to shine these purple lights onto these mice and erase their memory, plant new memories in them.
No way.
Alter their behavior. So if they can do that to a mouse, they can do that to us.
Yeah.
So check this out, bro. Like, why are these purple lights popping up everywhere? And now in the news, this broke in September. It's not really mainstream or anything, but Doritos, they were rubbing the yellow 5. It's called tarzatine or something.
Yeah.
On the mice, hit them with the ultraviolet light, and they could see through the skin. So it made them invisible, made their skin, their organ invisible. So think about that. Think about how much Kim Kardashian eating them Cheetos, them yellow Cheetos, as she's the man of the year, the GQ issue, the Cheetos. Like, that's all making you want to eat Cheetos. Think about you're consuming these products 24/7, not you, but society is. There's something going on. There's something strange going on.
Indeed.
That I'd like to say. Yeah.
The game is
Isn't
afoot.
That crazy?
That is so weird. That's so crazy, dude. Man, Dorito powder. Like and mice and stuff.
There was also some new information that I want to let your audience know about. mixed in with the animals about dolphins. I don't want to forget to tell them about the dolphins.
Okay, yeah, the dolphin connection.
The Illuminati dolphins.
The Illuminati dolphins.
There's
Hey, everything sounds cooler with Illuminati in front of it.
It does, right?
Instead of Miami, it's just the Illuminati dolphins.
The Illuminatus trilogy got me hip on them dolphins because he always has dolphins on the book.
Right.
I'm just reading the book, reading it. Brought up a guy named John C. Lilly, and he was one of the chief architects of MK Ultra. He was one of these figures that most people don't know about, but his work played huge in Timothy Leary, the whole LSD movement. As you can see, I'm holding the Beatles cup up. This was the programming for an entire generation with Charles Manson, the Beatles, all this or whatever, getting them hooked on the Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. I don't know if you ever seen the picture of the UFO of Lucy. It's Polaris. That song, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, LSD. And look, there's the Illuminati dolphin card right there on the left. But so the experiments with the dolphins, the government funded it. He was touching the dolphins. They were having a erotic connection with one another, giving them drugs, ecstasy, LSD, satisfying their sexual pleasures and whatnot.
They gave it to the dolphin?
Yeah, to the dolphin. That's what they were doing with it. While he was in his Joe Rogan meditation tank, where it was all black. It was they made a movie about it. Where he goes into the tank where he can't see or hear anything, and he's talking to the dolphins. He's communicating with them. This is funded by the government. And he came up with the idea to end this experiment. And the experiment was so they can talk to the aliens and UFOs underneath the ocean. And the way that they were speaking to the aliens through their own work, which moved on to the hippie movement. John C. Lilly wrote a book called Metaprogramming, the Biological Human Computer, looking at us as computer systems. And Timothy Leary simplified it with his theory of why you should take LSD. This is why Joe Rogan tells you and different presidents and whatnot that everyone needs to take these certain different hallucinogenic drugs so they can reset the autonomic nervous system. What they're doing is creating a new religion that's connected to a UFO cult. Absolutely wild. It's connected to the AI and UFO cult, and this is happening on a worldwide scale, mainstream. And John C. Lilly, with these dolphin experiments, the dolphins would go under the water, talk to the whales, because the whales have a bigger brain. So their theory was that the whales were more spiritually advanced than the dolphin, whose brain is very similar to our brain.
Yeah.
These mammals. Elon Musk just reported that they were kidnapping different ocean life, seals and whatnot, and putting them under sonic boom frequencies of sound to see what would happen to them. So Starlink, who says they're going to occupy Mars or the waters above or whatever, they're still doing these dolphin type experiments with whales and seals and probably dolphins as well. But think about that. They're these sonic booms, right? That do boom, boom, right? But think about this. There's sonic booms happening all the time. There's mystery booms of these loud booms. I've heard it before. The whole house shakes.
I hear it all the time.
It's still happening. It's underreported. You're in Colorado?
Yeah.
Okay. There's a lot going on in Colorado.
It happens a bunch, and it shakes the house, and it's a real deep bass. You know what I mean? And it's not artillery or ordnance from the base. I mean, I have heard those too, but I was in ordnance in the Marines. I know exactly what that sounds like. I'm intimately familiar. Yeah.
Thank you for your service.
Yes, no problem. I know exactly what all the different explosions sound like. These are like coming from sometimes underground, and then just sometimes reverberating what feels like off of the atmosphere, you know what I mean? Or like a constant rolling thunder that doesn't stop for like 20 minutes or something, weird sounds coming from underneath us and from the sky.
Okay, if you could share my screen, I want to just throw this out there, get your thoughts on it, understanding all this. So this is just the article of Elon Musk, SpaceX. We're kidnapping these different ocean life to do these sound frequency experiments right here. He says they kidnapped the seals, they put headphones on the seals and played sonic booms. Here's a video of him saying this in the Keystone State recently, and this just happened yesterday or this week, I mean. But these
Wow.
loud booms are still happening in Utah. It's also happening in the Philippines as well, in Salt Lake City. These loud booms, which I think is connected to the Boring Company. This one just happened in Ipoh in Malaysia, not the Philippines. My bad about that. But these loud noises, these mystery booms, and that's what they were playing to the dolphins were these mystery booms. Now there's this new Apple product coming out, which is the Apple ear things. And here's an exclusive look in their secret lab of the Apple. And we're talking about Apple products, worms, computers. The
Right.
Apple logo is a damn alien. You know what I mean?
Oh, snap. Look at that.
Yeah, it's the gray alien of Lam or Iowas or whatever. But
Dang.
I think these technologies are super advanced to a level that we don't even know with the residuals of these. But you put this new ear pod in your ear, it allows you to hear if you can't hear anymore. So it's like healing you from like hearing. It's part of that. But think about the different like voices they could also play in your head.
Yes. Or even subconsciously, like at low tones that you're not conscious of.
Okay. I smell
Yeah,
what
like
you're stepping in.
just the frequencies themselves, either so high pitched that we can't hear it or so low pitched that we can't hear it. Just like the color spectrum and the things that we can see, right? Dogs can hear things we can't hear, other animals, right? And cats can see things that we definitely cannot see typically as humans. And it's all vibration. So those are all wavelengths and vibrations, and sound is no exception. So there's sounds that they can play to place suggestions or give commands and just program people, you know what I mean? Like subliminally, subliminal messages type things, right? But these sounds can be, they can agitate too. So sometimes they'll do it, but it'll be in a non-rhythmatic pulse, something that's agitating because the brain can't follow the rhythm of it. You know what I mean? Like it's not, there's no pattern to it. You know what I mean? It's chaos. And if a person experiences chaos, whether it be through lights that don't match, this is why like matching and feng shui and stuff like that like really works. It really helps to make us feel more in the flow or better, you know, or loving or whatever. But then the more chaos that's introduced in the forms of frequencies, from audio frequencies, right, which are in the air all around us. No wonder everybody's all screwed up and messed up and frustrated and stuff, right? Or just the visualizations and all the different flashing lights and stuff, right? Like the television. When we watch TV, dude, sometimes just for fun, like I watch movies. I don't watch TV, but Amazon it started making me watch like commercials when I watch a movie, unless I don't know.
Isn't that BS? They're
Yes,
programming us.
it's garbage.
It's a hypnosis program thing that we're all going through if we watch it.
Yes, it's totally garbage. But anyways, so to distract myself from whatever kind of, you know, magic they're playing in front of me, I start counting how many frames they switch to in the short amount of time that they have, like 30-second commercial. I just,
Right.
every time it switches to like another scene, another frame, whatever, I'll count. And the numbers that I come up with as I'm just counting blow my mind, dude. They'll have like,
Wow, they
you
switched
know,
the frame rate.
80 frames in 30 seconds or more, like just showing you all these different things. And it forces the brain to try to like catch up and follow. And it's not going to. And many stuff just spills over. You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah,
easy to hypnotize people and stuff.
that's exactly what it is. It's hypnosis, and when you put someone under hypnosis, you can make them allergic to stuff. You
Yeah.
can make them see stuff that's not in their room,
Yes.
so they can affect your health and whatnot as well. And you know what's interesting is that this fifth generation warfare of these different frequencies or whatever that we're talking about, that it's way more advanced than what we know. At the Trump speech on 713, which is an interesting date, 713, it's part of it's very occult number, but I'm not going to get too deep into that. But it was an event that happened to Trump in July, right? A huge event.
Yeah.
No one ran. Everyone was chill. So they're just kicking it while one of the most crazy events ever happened. Most people would stampede. Even Trump said, this is quite odd that the audience didn't run or nothing. They just kicked it, pulled their phone out. What's going on here?
Yeah.
You know?
Especially that one dude in the hat behind Trump.
Yeah, it's super sketch. But this goes into what I think's happening. And shout out to one of my loyal Patreon members. She brought this up, which got me thinking about it, is that these were frequencies that make people chill. And these same frequencies can make you forget stuff. People forget stuff. They go to a Taylor Swift concert and they forget they went. And then Trump says, I hate Taylor Swift. What's that all about?
Right. That's so weird. There was also the purple connection that you mentioned with those mice or whatever in the experiment, and that frequency helped them to have amnesia. So one of my plasma apocalypse theories is that we have an ever-changing and always changing color spectrum here in this world, and that further back in time we go, we had a totally different color spectrum or light sources that gave us the different colors that we experience or have. Like you probably heard that theory that blue didn't exist, like the color blue didn't exist in the ancient world.
Oh, damn. I didn't know that.
That's so cool. It's such an interesting thing to look into, but I have a theory as to why it didn't exist. And that's because our color spectrum was much different. It didn't allow for the color blue to exist until it got past a certain point that allowed the blue color to come into our world. But in the beginning, from my studies, the very first color to appear after the world goes dark in like the 3 days of darkness or whatnot, right? The first color that is seen is purple. And
that makes sense.
It's a purple dawn. It's the beginning. It's the crowning. It's the crowning of the very first event, or the very first life in our world. Yes. So it's possible maybe that purple color has something to do with why we don't even remember collectively, that we have a collective amnesia subconsciously, that we just, all of these memories of ancient history and antiquity, because of the conditions of the very world that we live in, and because of how we treat ourselves on a daily basis, these things combine to, almost increasingly just rush us to our own demise, causing us to just walking around in a state of oblivion and just not knowing, and for constant forgetfulness. And that leads to people just constantly not caring, they
Which
just
is the
only
lowest
interested.
energetic form. So like this book I'm listening to, I have it, but I'm listening to it. I'm reading it, and it's it's all over the place. I don't know where it is. He goes into apathy and all that. Very low frequency. Fear is a higher frequency because at least you take action. If you're scared, you're going to go out and you're going to run. You're going to go do stuff. So it's at a higher vibration than not caring. And that's what the control algorithm system is trying to do, is make us not care. I don't even care anymore, right? And I'm going to just tune in and drop out. That's what Joe Rogan tells his audience. The most mainstream podcast in the entire planet.
Yeah.
To tune in and drop out and not care anymore and do whatever. I'm just going to wrestle my friends. And like,
I'm the opposite. I care about everything. Like, to me, I love it all. I'm interested in everything. I'm a truth seeker. I care. You know what I mean? Like I'm interested. It's important. It's all connected, and it's a part of me.
Yeah. And so, the psychosomatic stuff where whatever we're thinking affects our body. So these commercials, I fall asleep, I'm watching TV, and now they playing commercials, which they never did before. Now they're playing these commercials, and think about this $1 billion advertisement agency that's putting in these different subliminal messages that you can put someone in a hypnosis. There's even beer companies that run advertisements for your dreams that you can listen to during the Super Bowl, where they're getting paid to put advertisements in your dreams and stuff like. So these are the type of billion-dollar agencies, experiments with the advertisement agencies, and that's what a celebrity is. That's what an artist is. That's why Beyonce packed the stadium. Kamala didn't pack a stadium. Beyonce packed the stadium and then dipped out, took her check, left.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because the artists are playing certain type of gods, and you can see that in their names. You could see that in their symbols. You could see it in their body posture.
Yep.
She's portraying Venus a lot of the time, but her husband's playing Jehovah, H to the O-V,
Right.
Jay-Z, Jehovah, Jay-Z, Jehovah, H to the O-V. Kanye is playing Jesus. He's being persecuted, just like Jesus, right? It's just a movie script for
cyclical.
It's
repetitious and cyclical, like a pattern, just over and over and over. And it goes back to antiquity too. They're always naming these things after the ancient gods and the ancient goddesses and stuff too, which one day are, if it's cyclical, are destined to return. And then we see whatever they happen to be in their true form, instead of through this lens of cartoonification and, the telephone game changing different aspects over a millennia or thousands of years or whatever. Then we experience it as we go back through like a reset or a transition, back into the old ways, returning to us. Last thing I want to talk about is the connection with, since we're talking about worms and stuff, I think that we'd be remiss not to mention Morgellons, and the idea that, like we talked about parasites and worms in the body and stuff. And there's this thing about Morgellons. For those of you who don't know, Morgellons is basically where they find little fibers and what look like little worms inside of people, and they move and they react to electromagnetic current and bodies and other people and stimuluses and stuff. And this is really weird. If you look it up, there's lots of people reporting this whole concept of Morgellons, which was
what color are they? Are they see-through?
Oftentimes they're black, red, blue, or white. They're different fibers. If you look it up, though,
they're fibers.
Yes, so they look like little tiny worms or fibers in the body. Like if I ripped my shirt apart, it would look like fibrous material in my shirt, except for not all meshed together, just kind of like random hairs. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So check this out. Academics says that all of this whole Morgellons things, which thousands of people report all the time, is delusional parasitosis. People think that they have a parasite, and they're just delusional. That's the official explanation for this. According to some medical experts, they say that the fibers originate from like cotton or textiles that just happen to be like on you. Like if you look this up, these are worms or worm-like things, that are in people's skin, like under their layers of skin in the body, and they move about and they act in weird ways. And people are starting to notice, and they're like, hey, what is this? So they go to their doctor, and the doctor says, oh, it's just all in your head. That's all that is. These are not the droids you're looking for. Hey, we did that at the same time.
Go back to sleep. These are not the droids you're looking for.
Yes.
That's funny.
They say that the CDC actually says when investigating Morgellons, patients often have an underlying psychiatric condition. So my question is it underlying, which is implying that they're just delusional and that it's really just their psychiatric condition that's causing them to see fibers in their bodies? Or are the fibers in their bodies giving them a psychiatric condition?
Does it leave the body and they
can
it out and
some people pull them out, you know what I mean, and stuff, like just like real worms or whatever. And there's lots of theories.
There's something going on. There's something strange going on.
It seems to be exacerbated by the different towers that are being put up for cell phones and whatever they're different towers. There seems to be a connection between the people that have reported it and their proximity to those particular things. Doenut.
That's crazy.
I'm gonna thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
This is the first time we really have done something together, collaborating. I appreciate the balance that you bring to my insights and my stuff that I bring to the table. You have a great personality. I just want to leave you with that. You're a researcher. You go with the gut. You speak from the heart and from the top, and the top of the dome, which I like too. I want to encourage everybody to go check out your channel. You're just taking a break right now, right, from social media and stuff. It can be pretty overwhelming, but I want everyone to check out Doenut's channel. He's also featured on the Truth Mafia website. Lots of different videos from Doenut, especially up there, and you can search for him specifically. We talked about many different things. Next time, maybe we'll get into like Mount Meru. I'll let you share some of those Mount Meru symbolism pictures. We talked about purple lights, Dorito dust, invisible mice, Illuminati dolphins, Illuminati animals in general, mycelium connection or fungus connection to the brain, possibly even to space and plasma, the plasma universe, the neurons of the mind of God, and plasma in the atmosphere, depressurization, the plasma apocalypse, which I always talk about, the etymology of the word worm and the connection of the worm throughout antiquity. Thank you so much for being a guest on my channel. Go check out Doenut Factory is the name of the channel, right? And check him out and send him some love. Leave him lots of comments. Let him know he's missed. Let him know that we appreciate his work. And support your local truth seekers, as I like to say. Thank you so much for being a guest on my show today, Doenut.
Oh, thank you so much for the kind words. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Woo woo.
You're very welcome. All right, cool. Well, I'm gonna. Oh, hey, before actually, a little bonus. Okay, check this out. So I put this picture up earlier because you're talking about the Illuminati dolphins, and this is from the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. At the very end, there's an iconic scene where the dolphins just get sucked up into the sky and they go home to space, where it's implied that they're aliens, that they're actually alien life forms, and they go up to the moon. They put the full moon right there in the background. Like I said, the moon is a passageway, or it's oftentimes portrayed as
a portal.
Yeah, a portal into
Have you played the game Echo the Dolphin?
Yes, a long time ago on the original Sega.
So that was about John C. Lilly, alien experiments. It's the dolphin that fighting aliens.
Yeah.
So, and it's based off of this guy's research, John C. Lilly.
Oh my God. You know what? There's also a connection too with what's that religion that's very secretive? Scientology, right? I looked into Scientology's like history,
right?
And L. Ron Hubbard's stories about space and stuff that he made up. And there's space dolphins in that story.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah, I'm dead serious. There's space dolphins, dude. It's insane.
Damn.
All right. Well, thank you so much again, Doenut. I'm going to go ahead and run the outro. Until next time, I'm JayDreamerZ saying good vibes and goodbye.